The letter arrived on a Tuesday, unassuming in a beige envelope, but inside was the devastating realization that Arthur was officially too old to work, yet too poor to retire. At 65, Arthur sat in his modest living room, one he had lived in for 30 years. He had done everything right in his mind. He worked hard at a dependable 9-to-5 job. He never went into massive debt. He paid his mortgage. But he had a secret. He had spent his life waiting for a better time to start investing. In his 20s, he told himself he wasn't making enough money. In his 30s, he said the mortgage was too high. In his 40s, he decided to wait until his kids were out of college. In his 50s, the market felt too scary, and he didn't want to lose what he had. "I'll do it later," he had murmured thousands of times. "When I'm more secure." That later had arrived, and there was no security waiting for him. As he looked at his retirement account statement, he felt the heavy, crushing weight of compound interest working for everyone else, but not for him. His friends, Sarah and Mark, who had lived in a smaller house and drove clunky used cars while stashing money into brokerage accounts, were now traveling Europe. Arthur was looking at his bank account and realizing he had to choose between repairing his leaky roof or taking his vacation next year. The deepest regret wasn't just the lack of money. It was the wasted time. It was the realization that he had sacrificed his present joy in his younger years for a future that he had neglected to build. He remembered a quiet conversation with a colleague years ago who had tried to explain index funds. Arthur had laughed it off. "I'm not a gambler, Sarah," he'd said. Now, he understood the real gamble was doing nothing. The money he did save, left in a low-interest checking account, had actually lost value to inflation. That evening, his granddaughter asked for help with her tuition for an art program. Arthur had to say no. It was a small no, but it felt like a mountain of regret. He realized that not investing hadn't just affected his retirement. It had limited his ability to help the people he loved. Arthur walked over to his window, watching his neighbor, a young tech worker, leave for work. He wondered if that young man was investing. He wanted to shout to him, "Start now. Don't wait. Time is your best asset." But he didn't. He just closed the curtains, sat back down, and began to calculate how many more years he would have to work, realizing too late that while he was afraid to lose money, he had lost his freedom instead.